Hey, what's up guys and gals? Dandelion back with another Warbots video. Now, don't shoot the messenger, I'm just bringing you this information, but there is another huge round of rebalances being proposed. Remember, none of these are set in stone, but there is a gigantic list of balance changes being tested out on the current test server. So first up, Blaze, Igniter, and Ember, these are about to get a nerf. I'm not going to go over all of the numbers here because that would take me an hour to read all this off. There's so much stuff on this list, it's unreal. Anytime you really need to stop and read what's going on with one of these, just hit the pause button. That way you can read all the stats. I'm just going to go over them quickly because there's so many things. And then after we get through the entire list showing you all the nerfs and buffs, then I'll give you my final thoughts and my opinions and some of my ideas about what's going on with this. And I don't necessarily love these rebalance changes either. Nobody likes when their stuff gets nerfed. The Marquis, the Hussar, and the Dragoons, these are getting a nerf. Avalanche, that is on the list. Flux, that is getting nerfed as well. The Redeemers, this is unfortunate, but Redeemers look like they're getting a little bit of a nerf. There might be a couple of nerfs and buffs, but I think that's an overall nerf. Shock Trains, these are being, well, it looks like that's a buff. I mean, some of these things are good changes. Some of them are downgrades. Puncher, all right, that is on the rebalance list. That's what that's doing right there. If you need to pause any of these, go ahead and do it. There's the Viper. So that's the proposed balance change to the Viper. If we move over to Titans, the Atlas is going to be rebalanced by kind of a lot. The Mauler is going to be getting a really big rebalance right there. I mean, Mauler needs a rebalance, but that looks a little bit drastic to me. Bersaglier, that is getting rebalanced. Eiffel is getting rebalanced. Again, pause this if you need to. The Rook is getting a rebalance. The Indra is getting a huge rebalance. And I will put a link to where you can find this list in case you're interested. Luchador, rebalance. All right, there's going to be a very small rebalance on the Luchador, which is not enough to hurt it. I mean, it's going to jump not quite as far. So it might not be too bad, thankfully. Nodens appears to be getting buffed up a little bit, which is awesome. We got some stuff going on with the Sharenga that looks like a buff. Heimdall, actually, they're just changing the tier on the Heimdall. I'm sorry. So Heimdall is getting a tier change going from 4 to 3. Aether is going from tier 4 to tier 3. Sirius from tier 4 to tier 3. So those aren't really nerfs or buffs, they're just changing the tier, but that does mean it'll be cheaper to upgrade if you decide to get one. They're going to be nerfing some Titan weapons and rebalancing them, or nerfing or buffing, or however you want to say it. It just depends on which weapon as to which one they're doing. The Void and Chasm weapons are getting a rebalance. That looks like a downgrade. The Huggins and the Moonins, that also looks like quite a bit of a downgrade there, I would say. Equalizer, Arbiter, those things are getting a balance change. Again, pause these if you need to. Maha and the Mahavajra, so these are some old school weapons. And they are getting, well, nothing good from what I can see. I do believe that's an overall nerf to the Maha and Mahavajra. These striker weapons, gigantic damage decrease. I mean, these things are getting nerfed. The Evora and the Veyron, now this is not something I want to see unless, and actually, you know what? That might be a little bit of a buff. They're going up in damage. Particle suspension 43%. That might be some nerfs and some buffs on that one. The Anguisher and the Runer, those are getting a bit of a change right there. Kristen and Beluva, those are getting a bit of a change. All right, the Crate and the Basilisk, those are being changed, and that's going to be interesting. That actually looks like a pretty good buff. I'm just trying to look at these really quick, so... Next up, the Yang Li Titan. That works for a lot of old school Titans. He's going from a tier 4 pilot down to a tier 3 pilot. The autopilot is getting a rebalance. We got Ultimate Arthur is being rebalanced, guys and gals. Big rebalance on the Ultimate Arthur. The Ultimate Grom is also getting a rebalance. Again, pause this if you need to. It would take me a year to read off all this stuff. Ultimate Sword is getting a rebalance, guys and gals. Ultimate Leech, rebalance. Ultimate Griffin is also on the list. The Ultimate Destrier, now that's a little bit of a bummer, unless, actually that might be a buff right there. So they're buffing the durability on the Ultimate Destrier. That's not bad, I guess. Ultimate Fujin, hopefully that's a buff because that thing is pretty terrible. Ultimate Spectre is getting a balance change. Ultimate Invader is getting a balance change. Ultimate Mender, it looks like they're buffing that thing up. Ultimate Ares, that looks like a little bit of a buff as well. So when it comes to ultimate weapons, the Ultimate Arms are getting a rebalance. Ultimate Shredder is getting a rebalance. The Ultimate Talumbas are on the list. The Ultimate Scourge, there we go. Ultimate Havocs, those are getting a rebalance as well. The Ultimate Hussars and the Dragoons are getting a rebalance. Ultimate Avenger, that's kind of a bummer. I think damage per particle is less, and they're going to spread out more, I do believe. So that's a nerf. Ultimate Vortex, that's getting a rebalance as well. Now, when it comes to robots, they are going to downgrade the Teth. So, unfortunately, if you're a Teth player, your Teth probably won't be great anymore. But if you don't have one, you're probably going to be happy about that. The Sword unit is getting a big old decrease in durability plus some other things. So if you're a sword player, you're not going to like that. If you hate the sword, you're probably going to love that. Samjock, big old decrease in all kinds of stuff right there. So Samjock is getting another nerf. The Condor is getting some buffs, guys. It looks like they're going to buff the Condor, so that's good. That's such a fun robot. I'm actually happy to see that. Now, some of those may be nerfs. I mean, there's a bunch of stuff on there, but I do see a few things that I like. There might be some negatives as well. I'm not sure. As a dyslexic guy who's really bad at reading, really slow at reading, it would take me an hour to read through all this. But Raptor is on the list to get a balance change, guys and gals. And Ravager, all right, Ravager is getting a balance change. And I don't know if that's a good one or a bad one right there, but it looks like they are doing a balance change to the Ravager. The Dux is getting a balance change, guys and gals. The Mender is on the list. Wayland is on the list. Now, Mender, that's got to be a buff. Wayland, that's got to be a buff. Nightingale, that's got to be a buff. Demeter, hopefully that's a buff. I mean, Demeter is awesome. Fafnir is on the list. Now, Fafnir is one of those deals where they need to give him more durability when he's in the air because that thing is a squishy turd, but it doesn't look like that's what they're doing. Just some more damage and, you know, something to do with the shield there. Hawk is getting a balance change. That's got to be a buff. The Seraph is getting a buff. Mars has got to be getting a buff. The Strix is getting a rebalance right there. That does look like a buff on the Strix, guys and gals. So now we're going to go over the robot weapons. We got the Hedget, the Desert, and the Fashent. I know I probably say all those wrong, but it looks like those are getting nerfed. The Arm Ls, all right, the Arm Lights and Mediums, nerf. Gangle, Mogwin, Kirin, those shotgun weapons, those are on the rebalance list right there. The Hellers and the Grellers and the Screamers rebalance list. The Aramis, the Perthos, and the Athos. That is interesting right there. That is not going to be good. I think those are going to get nerfed again, and they're already not that great. I mean, I'm pretty sure that's a nerf. For a dyslexic guy, it's a little bit hard to tell. You almost really have to know how to do some math. I'm not good at reading these things. It looks like Regulator's getting some buffs and nerfs. I don't know if that's going to be an overall nerf. Magnetars, right? That looks like we're getting some buffs on the Magnetar, but also some nerfs at the same time. So I don't know how that's going to go. Prismas look like they're going to be cut down drastically. Prismas are probably going to be dead after that if I'm understanding that one correctly. The The Reaper weapons are getting a rebalance. The Trickster and the Deceiver are getting a rebalance. I see some, that looks like an overall plus right there, I think. Pretty sure. The Shatter, Splinter, and Versant, those are getting a rebalance as well, which is probably good. I mean, I can't tell if that's a buff or a nerf. The way they put some of these things doesn't make sense to me. Maybe you guys can figure that out. But anyways, that is a list of stuff right there. We got the Aopo drone. I mean, when you're dyslexic and you're not a rocket scientist to figure out how to do the math, you know, it's a little bit hard. But when it comes to the drones, there is an Aopo rebalance. The Hiroko is going to be rebalanced. Again, pause any of this if you need to. The Shy drone, oh no, hold on, let me take a good look at this one. Bonus points for dealing damage is going down from 12 to 7. I mean, Shy drone is amazing. Most of us run that on a lot of stuff, so I hate to see that thing put on the list. I mean, it's fine the way it is. I don't think that needs a change. Now we're going to go over to motherships. The Frederick is on there. It's going to give you less movement speed. So the Frederick's not going to be as fun anymore. That's a big old buff. The Frozen Scorn mothership is on the list. The Avalon is on the list. And I'm kind of bummed out here. The Bifrost mothership is on the list. The Paladin is here. The Beholder is here. The Mute is here. And again, pause this if you need to stop and really pay attention to one of these things, because I'm just kind of moving on. We're just trying to go over all the items as quickly as possible. So the Mute mothership is getting a rebalance. Now we're going to come over to Titan specializations. They are nerfing the modules in the specializations or possibly buffing some of them. So Self-Fix Reactor is getting a big downgrade, it looks like. Titan Repair Amplifier is getting a big downgrade, it looks like. The Ultimate Specializations, okay, they're going to be changing these as well. The Ultimate Plated Armor Kits is getting a change. The Ultimate Antimatter Reactor is getting a change. The Ultimate Grand Balance Reactor is being changed. The Titan Last Stand is being changed from 7 seconds to 9 seconds. Okay, that's interesting. The Titan Immune Amplifier is being rebalanced as well. Remember, none of these things are set in stone. They're just being tested out on the test server. Robot Specialization, so Beacon Operator is getting a change, and the Robot Accelerator is getting a change. So that is currently every item on the list for the proposed balance changes. I'm sorry I didn't read off every little teeny tiny stat, but I'm telling you right now, we would be here for an hour if I did that. I am going to post a link to this Discord post where you can find this information. So generally when there's a balance change, there's some good and there's some bad to this. Normally it truly does balance out the game, and the game feels really balanced after these changes until the next shiny new robot and weapons come out and they're this much more powerful than everything else. And then that really kills the balance that we just got. So balance changes do truly fix the game for a very short period of time. And problem number 2 with balance changes is sometimes, not always, but sometimes when they nerf something, they hit it a little bit too hard. And let's just say like this is like the standard of decent, right? Sometimes they'll take something that is up here and they should nerf it to here, but instead they nerf it down to like here. You know, some weapons and some robots, when they get nerfed, they're still right there in the center of very good, very playable, just all around nice weapons or robots. But some of them get nerfed down into the ground to where you're like, you can't even play this anymore. So that's my problem with balance changes is number 1, some items they hit too damn hard. Number 2, when the shiny new thing comes out, it's going to be off the charts on the list of how good something is. When everything else is here, the new stuff is like up here, and that ruins the balance on the game. Now, as long as I can remember, there's always been one thing out on the battlefield, sometimes 2 or 3 things that outperform everything by leaps and bounds, and those items are just destroying everyone and everything. And, you know, I kind of hate how they do that. The nerf buff destroy cycle that comes around is never any fun. So they nerf things. They do buff some older things, which is nice. So some of the things getting buffed will become playable again, which is great. But I think they need to take all of those older robots and buff the heck out of them. Like, they need to buff Aljun, put Aljun back to the way it was. Take the Fafnir and put it almost. Fafnir does not need to be the way it was. It was too much. They just need to take the Fafnir and give it some more durability and give it some more flying time and leave it as it is. We don't need that thing to be obliterating everything in one shot once the shield gets charged up like it used to. So I don't want to see like the ability get put back to its original, but I would love to see it get like, at or close to the same amount of speed in the air. It used to fly around really fast, and it was so fun to play. I was never good with that, but it was just so fun to play. I played it anyways. But there's just certain things they need to bring back to their original form. A bunch of old stuff, there's just a whole bunch of old stuff that's great, and there's a whole bunch of it that's not. And I would like to see that stuff that's not good at least go up to the decent line. You know what I mean? I would at least like to see some of that stuff become decent again. I mean, I can play the old Aljun, but I got to be so careful with it. It's not even funny. I got to walk on eggshells just to get like one kill with that thing without being wiped off of the map. So they need to give some of those old robots at least enough durability to compete in Champion League, because, man, some of them are just way too squishy. Now, when it comes to weapons, I think they should go into the workshop and take the blast shotguns like the hammer, the mace, and the cudgel. Those are very nice performing weapons. They're nothing crazy. They're not overpowered. They're at the point of being just very decent weapons. Like, that is pretty much the bottom of the barrel of where you want to be. I play them all the time. I love them. They do just fine, right? They're good weapons. They're not crazy, or they're not overpowered. They're not like over the top and up there on the list. They're at the line of just about right. That's about where a weapon should be. So what they should do is take a bunch of those old weapons and at least buff them up to the same performance as the hammer, mace, and cudgel, so they're all on the same level of goodness. And then when they nerf a weapon, they should bring it down to where it's performing at the same level as something like the hammer, mace, and cudgel. There should be like a gold standard item, right? Or even for robots, something like the Fenrir. It's not like the world's best robot, but I can put 5 Fenrirs in a hangar and I can play them. And, I usually do fine. I mean, I'm not going to be in first place with 947 kills, but I'm going to have had a good time playing those 5 Fenrirs and done okay with them. So there should be like a gold standard like that. When they nerf a robot, it shouldn't be nerfed down to perform any less than, like, say, the Fenrir. And when they buff something, they should buff it up to about the same performance level as the Fenrir. I mean, that's kind of hard to do because Fenrir is kind of like just a durable, slow, tanky robot. But it performs well on the battlefield is what I'm getting at. There's a lot of robots and weapons that are here, and then there's other ones that are just way down here somewhere that perform at a much lower level. So they should at least have everything like on that middle decent line, maybe even like a little bit above that decent line when they nerf or buff things. I mean, honestly, the worst thing is when they nerf something to the point where it's not even worth playing anymore. I don't mind a rebalance if they truly rebalance things and the item is still very playable. If it goes to that middle ground line, that middle ground decent line, and you can put it in there and be like, yeah, I did all right, then that's an okay rebalance. But if they go lower than that, that sucks. That sucks big time. But anyways, there is a huge nerf and buff list up there. There's so much stuff, it's not even funny. It's crazy. Not all of that stuff is going to get nerfed or buffed. Some of that might get knocked off the list. They might test it out and decide, hey, we don't need to change that. Or some of that could get buffed more or possibly less than what you saw on the list as well. So not all of those numbers are set in stone. They're not guaranteed to happen. That's just what's currently on the list. But anyways, that's pretty much the deal. If you like this video, hit that like button. If you didn't like it, hit that thumbs down button. Now, don't hit the thumbs down because you don't like the Pixonic's nerfing things. That's not my fault. I'm just bringing you guys the information and giving you my opinions and my feelings. So don't dislike my video because you don't like what Pixonic's doing, you know? I'm not Pixonic. I don't work for them. I just play the game and make videos, guys. I'm here to try and help you guys out, find nice, fun builds, and bring you information, all right? So don't hate me because Pixonic buffed or nerfed your stuff. And don't hate me because I'm beautiful. But anyways, thank you so much for watching. If you check out the video's description or the pinned comment, you'll see my affiliate links where you can get some awesome stuff. You'll see a link to the Danny Lightning merch store, some other ways to help the channel. Huge shout out to my channel members. Thank you so much. If you want to join and become one, it's just a couple of bucks a month. Just hit the little join button right below the video. And to everybody who watches my videos, thank you so much. I really appreciate you guys and gals a lot. If you want to watch some more of my videos, that is a huge help to this channel. So maybe click on one of these videos up here, or just go to my channel and find something else to watch. Maybe you'll find something fun and interesting and awesome and amazing to watch. I don't know. Maybe something helpful, maybe something useful. Or maybe you'll be like, man, that Danny Lightning guy sucks. He's a big old turd taco. And then you can just make fun of my game playing or something. I don't know. Anyways, thanks for watching. You guys and gals are amazing. Have a wonderful day, and we will catch you next time. See ya. Bye-bye. Adios.